Oh, I didn't mean to stop that.
Off to the races.
Sorry, I'm telling
In the mood for in the mood. Don't you say yeah?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. We have more and more and more. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Les DeMerle, my friend, and yeah, I'm just kind of preparing myself here, and I'm all set. Yes, I'm all set. Les
Great,
DeMerle.
Cathy Segal-Garcia on the scene.
We're still friends because we have the same spirit, just yes, can do anything,
Yes,
get a kick out of everything, right? Do your best,
That's
like people.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. You have to have all of those, features to make it happen, Cathy. It's got to be in your heart, and it is in your heart. I know that for as long as we've known each other.
Yeah. You sound great, man. I'd love to be in person to hear you again.
Well,
Be fun.
Cathy, that tune that Come Back to Me, for me to play that tune now, I did that last year in 2023, after having recorded it in 1967, and the record just came out last year for the first time. It was in the Atlantic vaults. We had recorded it originally for Atlantic Records, but for some reason they've never put it out. And in 1969, I got signed to United Artists and did Spectrum. So many people think that was my first jazz record, but this was done kind of like as a demo before this record. And then when it came out last year, I decided to do one of our shows here in Amelia Island, playing the entire set of that music, And so that those are not the same players that were with me, of course, in '67. But for me, and now to do it 50 some odd years later than when I first recorded it, and thank God I'm still able to do it. I mean, that's what I mean, those tempos were furious, in those
Yeah.
just like the transfusion music was in the '70s. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So you were under 20, or how old were you at
I
that
was
time?
exactly 20. I was
Oh,
20 years old when I did that, Kathy. Yeah. And Randy Brecker is on that record, and he's, I think, one year older than I am. And he had just got to New York, and he was actually on the Larry Elgart band. Yeah,
yeah,
there's yeah, and so he just got off the bus, in the band bus, decided to
yeah.
try to make it in New York, and I think Frank Foster, the great saxophone player, told me about this young kid that just came into one of his rehearsals. He
Yeah.
said, "Man, you got to hear Randy Brecker." So I asked him to join this band, and then he came on, and we recorded this record only about 2 weeks after he had been in town. So that's really his first record date. Yeah.
Now that's actually surprising. I would think that he and his brother, but his brother, his I think his brother went to study jazz ahead of Randy, right? Or was
No,
it that way or
Randy,
the other way around?
the other way around. Yeah, Randy
Yeah,
is older. Randy's older
yeah.
than Michael. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I have the book and I haven't finished the whole book, but on Michael.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an incredible legacy they have left us, And
Yeah.
Randy just played our Amelia Island Jazz Festival a few years ago. I brought him in as a headliner, and we did
Oh,
we did a whole thing. We played some skunk funk, from the Brecker Brothers, and
yeah.
we did tunes like Bernie's tune where he just played like a bebop cat. I
Yeah.
mean, we just had a great time. We still stay in close touch. As a matter of fact, Randy wrote some of the liner notes on that CD.
Oh,
There's a booklet that comes with it, and Randy says some beautiful things in the booklet
oh.
on in the CD.
I
Yeah,
didn't even look at the booklet, man. Thank you for
yeah, yeah,
mentioning that. Yeah. So here's the booklet,
yeah,
Basin Street. I was telling Les before that behind the CD there's like a little, kind of flyer type of thing. And I was like, Paul's Mall, Jazz Workshop, Boylston Street, that's Boston, man. So he was saying that they did play there at Paul's Mall, right? Or the Jazz
Paul's
Workshop.
Mall. Yeah,
Yeah.
Paul's Mall. And George Benson's quartet was at the Jazz Workshop,
Uh,
Kathy. So can you imagine, in between all my sets, all my guys would run up to the Jazz Workshop and hear George's great group, and then some of his players would come down, and we all stayed at the Bostonian Hotel. I think that's what used to be before Berkeley. Before
Oh,
it's actually a hotel.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. I went to Berkeley, so that
Yeah.
I remember the initial places. One was on Marlborough Street, and
Yes.
it was one
Uh-huh.
of those, what do they call them? The apartments that go from fourth floor all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Big townhouse kind of thing.
Townhouse, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always used to say, geez, I wish I had bought one of those cheap townhouses
Oh
then.
yeah, yeah, big
Man, that
time.
would have been good. This one, you look like who's the drummer? You look like
Buddy, maybe?
no, the guy who was married to Pearl,
Oh, Louis Belson.
Louis Bellson here.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
that's
thank you.
really cute, man.
Thank you. Louis a good looking guy.
He is a good-looking guy. So Les DeMerle, so I'm sure a lot of people stopping in know who Les DeMerle is, but and we've had actually one or two interviews actually already. But oh, hi Taylor, my friend Taylor Hatch, who's a guitarist. He's here. Um, so Les, I mean we can bop her around on his upbringing and stuff like that. But when I met Les, it was here in LA, and he had a place called The Cellar, which was near the college. It was near LA City College, right?
Yeah, it was on First in Vermont.
Yeah, it was right across the street from LA City, right? Or kind
No,
of.
no, not, it wasn't quite that close, Kathy. It was like in the Wilshire district. So it was on First in Vermont, First Avenue in Vermont. Yeah. But we had a lot of the
Yeah,
colleges, of course, come,
yeah. Yeah.
students and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, see, so there's a little fault in my memory because my memory sees it like right across the street from the college. And that place was really cool. Was a building by itself, right? A
Right.
standalone
Yeah.
building. It had this really great performance space, almost like it reminds me of like a black box kind of performance space. It was, really kind of complete, and you sat around, right? Didn't
Yeah.
you? Wasn't
It
there like
was it was actually like a theater workshop, Kathy,
right?
before I took it over. And it had a very large stage. The stage was actually larger than the audience area. And then we had a seating situation where we had a first row and then a tier higher and then a tier higher. So only 3 rows. And it sat at maximum about maybe 80 people. It was a very small, theater workshop. Jane Curtin, the great actress, Saturday
Yep.
Night Live, she used to use it on Tuesdays, and a lot of the other actors in LA would use it for workshops and
Oh,
improv classes. But
cool.
on Monday nights, it was a jazz club, and that's when it was Transfusion's home. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing Tad Weed there too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then of course there was room for teaching too, right? Rooms.
Yes, yeah, I had well, the way it happened, Kathy, real quick, is that I was on the house band with George Rhodes at the Ambassador Hotel on Wilshire Boulevard,
Yeah,
the famous Ambassador Hotel.
yeah.
And I was living in Silver Lake at that time. And I was also playing with Harry James, so I had some really good money coming in. And I went by the Cellar Theater every night, and I saw it for rent and available. So I just pulled over one day and I went in and I made an appointment to see it, and it wasn't that out of reach. So I did get some financial backing from Lou Rawls.
Oh,
Lou Rawls, actually, if it wasn't for Lou, I wouldn't have gotten in because there were
ah,
all these permits that I needed. It was a
yeah.
commercial property, and I was signed at that time to his management company. And
Ah.
so Lou said, okay, if we back you on this, can I rehearse there? I said, Lou, if you back me on this, you can live there with me, you know, you can rehearse 24/7, do whatever you want. I just want to get my foot in the door. So he fronted me about 5 grand, to be honest with you,
Ah,
to get in.
yeah.
And then when we got in, I figured, okay, I'll live upstairs. Being a New Yorker, I was used to living in lofts and that kind of thing. So even though I was in LA, I was living upstairs in a loft, a little tiny bedroom apartment kind of thing. And then right downstairs, we had the cellar theater, which is the performance area that And then in the front, I had a drum studio. It was also doubled as a recording studio.
Ah,
I would teach privately and rent it out to other people. A lot of great musicians have used it. John B. Williams, the wonderful bass player, Milcho Liviev did piano workshops there. A lot
ah,
of the guys that were affiliated with me. Even Eddie
yeah.
Harris used it. Freddie
Ah.
Hubbard, people like that. Great
Oh,
guys. Yeah.
wow. That's cool. How long,
Yeah.
how long was it around?
Well, we had it for about 8 years.
Oh,
8 years.
okay.
Yeah. From about 1970 to 80, Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Seven.
then, the rents were getting higher and higher, and Harry James was getting older, and he passed away in 1981. And then I decided to go back to my roots in New York, and had an opportunity to put a trio behind Jimmy Witherspoon, the great blues singer.
Yeah.
So I went right back to New York and played Fat Tuesdays and got right into the New York groove again
Yeah.
until I got another call to go on the road with Wayne Newton, who I'd been with earlier. And
Oh.
so he invited me to go out to Vegas again and do that. And so that was a steady gig. So I did that and then eventually met Bonnie and we got the invitation to open the Ritz-Carlton Hotel here in Amelia Island with our own band, you know. Yeah, so it's been a wild ride, you know. It's been a wild ride, you know. Yeah.
It sounds like you were never out of work though.
No, no, knock on wood. I was never out of work, never. I always had some, and you know, I always keep two or three things going at the same time. So that's one of the reasons, you know.
Yeah. Hey, so let's talk about first. Let's just talk about the dance and jazz party cruise. This is the
Okay.
second one coming up, right?
Yes, Kathy. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
It's
tell us about that.
Okay. Well, what makes it different is you know, Kathy, there's several jazz cruises out there,
Yeah.
and the biggest, of course, are the Blue Note cruise, you know, the Blue Note Jazz cruise, and then there's a smooth jazz cruise, and then the jazz cruise that brings out, you know, all the elite of the elite and
Yeah.
hundreds of musicians. So the fact that this is a charter cruise, that means that I have an agent involved named Tom Pacina. He's out of Dallas, Fort Worth. He books a certain amount of cabins, and we go out as a charter cruise, and we use a venue on the ship to hear our band only every night. So instead of a whole lot of musicians, I bring out an 8-piece group, 4 horns and 4 rhythm, 3 rhythm and Bonnie, so it's 8. And then we change the themes up every night. Like we'll do a swing night, a Latin night, maybe a tribute to Sinatra one night. You know, so we change it up, and it's just a ball because you really get, because it's a very intimate group. You get to know all the musicians, hang out with them, dine with them, have drinks with them. It's like everybody knows each other, and family bonds are created from that experience, you know. So we did it last year. It was successful. This year we're doing it, and we need to still book about 20 cabins, and I need to do them hopefully this week. So I'm doing as many shows as I can to try to get the word out for people that really, and it's very affordable, by the way, too. You know,
It
it's out.
looks very affordable. Yeah.
Well, it starts at about $1,000, you know, for one person for 7 days in the Caribbean, leaving out of Fort Lauderdale, and you get to hear the band every night, and you also get to experience everything on the ship the way, you know, of course, a regular passenger would, but the regular passengers cannot come into our event. You know, it's got to be our exclusive group that comes into the designated lounge that we're in. On this particular cruise, the next one, we're actually playing in BB King's, because BB King has got the foundation has got the exclusives on Holland America. So several ships have like a BB King nightclub. And
Oh,
so we'll use that club earlier in the day before they start pumping in blues bands late at night, you know.
yeah,
So
wow.
it's really cool, you know.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. So there is other music on board.
Oh, it's a ton of cruises, Kathy, are unbelievable. I mean, you know, it used to be years ago in my generation when you came out of colleges, most of the guys went on the road with either Woody Herman or Basie or you know, maybe Buddy Rich's band, Maynard Ferguson. But nowadays, there's a bulk of work for show bands on cruises. There's so many cruise ships out there, and each of them have between 4 horns and maybe 8 horns
Ah,
on a regular basis, you know. So a lot of the hot players out of college looking to going into cruise contracts, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And we did it, Bonnie and I did it, Kathy, because when I was with Harry James's band back to the Cellar days, we used to do a cruise out of San Pedro in California, and we would go out with Harry's whole band and the comedian Phil Harris. And I
Oh,
remember what a ball this was to be on a ship instead of all the guys being at each other's throats like you would be when you're in a bus all day, on the ship, everybody lightened up because you can go to the pool, you can go to
yeah,
the islands, you're
yeah,
not out of the pressure. You don't have to drive to your gig. You just go to your
yeah.
room and come down the hall and play. So it was a whole thing. So then we looked into it when Bon and I got together. Bonnie Isel is my wife, for the folks that might not know. And then we went out as guest entertainers, where we brought our arrangements and used the ship's band on board, or we'd go out as crew members. That's the toughest way, to be honest with you. You have to do all the trainings, but you get a 4-month contract and you get to play jazz every night. So we did that too, but we didn't want to do that anymore. We did it for several years, and we
Yeah,
figured, okay, let's try to do our own cruise, a charter cruise. So
yeah,
that's what brings us to what we're doing now.
yeah. It's bold, to do that, I think, but it's great. That's one of those ideas that you have to have faith that, you're going to get people who want to do it, who want to come and pay and hang out. And it's not, I mean, obviously it's possible, but not a lot of people, I think, would put their toe in that water, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's work, Kathy, to do it like we're doing as a,
Yeah,
as a charter cruise. And this, you have to wear several different hats,
yeah,
to make it work. And you are responsible as a leader, not only to your band, of course, but
yeah,
to every guest on there, because this is under my name. It's a Les DeMerle Dance and Jazz Party Cruise.
yeah,
So we hopefully we do attract fans that know the history, and then those fans, if they really get into it, they tell more fans, and then before you know it, we're out there again. And the
yeah,
band I bring is fabulous. I don't know if you know the players. Mike Levine, a piano player from Miami, put out several recordings through the years. He's playing piano with me on all the cruises. And Nicky Orta, a Miami bassist, one of the best, played with Arturo Sandoval and so many players. And then I bring out 4 horn players from the Jacksonville area here, Jacksonville, Florida.
yeah.
And the most notable one is Dr. Bill Prince, who was years ago was with Buddy Rich and Tony Bennett, and all these guys play at that level. The trumpet player that was on the first clip that you played, that's called
Yeah,
"Come Back to Me." That's
yeah.
Marvin Farabee. So that's the same trumpet player that
Very
comes out with me on the
strong. Yeah,
cruises. Yeah,
yeah, very strong.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So, and if people are interested, what's the what is the easiest way to get connected?
The best way to do it, Kathy, is to directly go to Tom Pacina, and that is on the cruise video. His email is Tom. I have it right here. Let me make sure this is correct.
I think I have it on the pink
Yeah,
paper.
yeah. Tom at Ahoy Cruises, Dallas Fort Worth. Actually, Tom at Ahoy Cruises, DFW.com.
Right, and there's a Facebook event.
Yes, there's a Facebook event, and he has. If you want to speak to him, he's very personable, and you can reach him right at that number. It's 214
Yeah,
1968.
I see that. I'm just gonna look for this. I'm gonna look for this. Let's see. The Facebook events. Let me just type in these numbers. It's a big number. 753066, 753066, 9988, 99885, 17. Oh, that didn't take so long. Slash and question mark and active. And I'm not sure if there's probably an underscore, I'm guessing, tab equals discussion. Let's see if that worked. Did that work? Yeah. So, well, first of all, I'll share it too, but, so this is the event.
Mm-hmm.
Ahoy Cruises.
Yeah.
Look at that. You guys look so cute.
Ah,
That's on a ship, right?
yeah, that was on the ship. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, so this is, let's see, share. I will copy the link and I'll go back to, there we go. Okay. All right, so, people are interested. Okay, so Taylor has some questions for you.
Okay.
Taylor's a good question person.
Okay.
He goes to
Taylor-
North Texas.
Taylor's a vocalist, Cathy?
He's a guitarist.
Oh, guitarist. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he goes to North Texas, although,
Oh, great. Uh-huh.
or did you graduate, Taylor? I can't remember if you're out of there. Anyway, out of the many musicians, I don't know what you meant by 2JC, 2JC. Maybe it's a typo. Out of the many musicians that you've performed with, what was the biggest piece of advice? I always like this question. Biggest piece of advice or information someone gave you that stuck with you for years?
Wow, that's a good one. Well, I get one of the musicians, of course, that is most important to me in my life was Harry James, the great trumpet player.
Yeah.
And when I first joined Harry, you can imagine a young kid. I was about 24, and I was replacing Buddy Rich. I mean, it was
No
like,
pressure.
yeah, no pressure, right? And at the same time, Cathy, that was kind of in that period a little bit before we met,
Yeah.
but I was already playing fusion and all that. And I think the best piece of advice Harry said to me was, whatever you feel in your heart that you really are doing, you want to play. Don't try to do what other people do. I hire you because I want something that you have,
Yeah.
So he really built that into me, like do your thing the best you can. And many a nights when I was on the bandstand with him, including the times that I played at Carnegie Hall opposite Buddy Rich in his band. I was with Harry's band. This is years later, and we opened for Buddy Rich, and on those nights especially, I thought to myself, okay, I just got to go out there. My biggest dream is right here at Carnegie Hall. Doesn't get any better than the venue and the band, and to have this kind of relationship with Harry. So I've always, that's the one piece of advice that I got so young that I pass on to all of my students. Just do the best you can at all times and believe in yourself, no matter who's out there, I think I would answer it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good answer. I agree, of course. What jazz records by any drummer do you think are super underrated and why?
Wow. Well, one of them by Louis Bellson is a record that was one of my favorites called Thunderbird.
Ah,
It's on Impulse Records,
okay.
and it came out around 66, and it's one that never gets acknowledged with his discography as being one of the best, but it's got an interesting story behind it. They were playing the graveyard shift at the Thunderbird Hotel in Vegas. They play from 12 midnight till 6 a.m. And they would probably alternate with another group, but that was their window, 12 min. And the band was Sweet Edison, Carl Fontana, a saxophone player out there named Jimmy Cook, another one, Jimmy Mullador, and Sam Most, who played alto. And the rhythm section is Arnie Tyke on piano. Not a lot of people know him. And a bass player in Vegas named Mo Scarazzo. Louis had just signed with Rogers Drums, and was using for the first time a Dynasonic snare drum. Later, I used that same drum on the Spectrum album. And there's just something really, for me, very special about that album. And I tell people, drummers especially, about that album all the time. And most of them say, I've never heard of that album, you know. So that's one that is a gem. It was on Impulse Records, so you may be able to find it, you know. And also in the liner notes, they say that it was the band that went up to Louis after they played their 3-week gig and said, Louis, we got to record this. And they didn't have a record contract at the time or anything. Louis didn't even have a record contract at the time. He was in between maybe his roulette deal or Capitol, something that he was doing. So they chipped in their money and they got a studio and they recorded it. And then Louis went to New York and he told, I think it was Bob Thiel, I believe, the producer, about this record. And he said, oh, okay, we got to put this out. This is too much, you know. So that's one of my favorites, you know.
Wow.
Thunderbird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely going to listen to some of that, man. Sounds great. So other than getting ready for the dance and jazz party cruise coming up,
Yeah.
and that's going to be in November, right?
Yes, it's November 10th to the 17th, Kathy.
Okay.
And it leaves out of Fort Lauderdale. So 7
Yeah.
days in the Caribbean.
Okay. Sounds great. So other than that, are you just like these days, are you just working on that or are you working on
No,
other
oh
stuff?
no. What's happening? We're super busy right now, Kathy, because the biggest part of our year goes into the Amelia Island Jazz Festival work. And this encompasses everything. This is we do workshops in the schools. We have clinics going. We do jazz for seniors where we take small groups into assisted living facilities. We do jazz for kids. We go into elementary schools. So we're preparing all that. But the main thing is our jazz festival is coming up in a little over a month. Actually, it starts September 29th. And it goes to October 6th. It's 8 days of jazz on Amelia Island, the Amelia Island Jazz Festival. And the headliners this year are Grace Kelly, saxophonist and vocalist, and also Marcia Ball. Marcia Ball is a legendary pianist from New Orleans. If you don't know these artists, during our show, maybe we could queue up something from them, and
Yeah.
I could tell you a little bit about each of those incredible artists.
Yeah. I know Grace Kelly, but I don't know Marcia Ball.
Oh man, Marcia Ball, Kathy, you would just love. You would love. She's from Texas originally,
Yeah.
but she plays the New Orleans Jazz Festival, like 20,000 people every year. And she's interesting. She always plays piano with her legs crossed. She could be burning the most incredible, like boogie woogie style, high energy, and she's just sitting there like she's at her desk, you know. I mean, and she has a killer band too, you know. She's a really a legendary blues and R&B artist. So I'm bringing,
Let's hear her.
Marcia Ball.
Yeah, that'd be fun to hear her. Like I said, I know Grace Kelly, and let's see. Here we go. And Marcia, M-A, with an
M-A-
S-H?
You know, Marcia Ball. And make sure you might want to say musician or.
That's her, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, there's her website.
Well, down in the city, the camp on God. Everybody's gonna party a lot. The honky tonk, they never shut. The band's still playing when the sun come up. We got to drink a little voodoo juice. Shake your funky little feathers loose. Everybody's gonna have a time marching on the second line. It's dancing up the dance stuff. We're gonna tear the whole place up. We got a little too little, got a lot too much. That's the number that.
Wow, that is a lot of work, man. She's playing her ass off, right? Damn. That's
Yeah, she's
amazing. Yeah.
She's gonna rock the house, Kathy. And I mean, Grace Kelly's a big act. She's
Yeah, she is.
really dynamic act, and she dances when she plays, and she's going to bring in a younger audience the night before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Marsha Ball is going to just knock it out of the park. I mean, she'll get the festival feeling like a party. So she's our closing act.
Oh, great.
And I'll open for her with my smaller band, like 5 pieces or 6 pieces with Bond.
Yeah.
For about a 45-minute set. But then after our little break, she comes on and does an hour and a half to 2 hours. She just stays on and takes it out,
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of work, man. But she was like almost working the hardest in the band, right?
Yeah. And she's got her legs are crossed.
I
don't know
saw
if you know
that.
But she's you would think like any of the piano players, whether it be Oscar Peterson or Mary Lou Williams, when they're playing at that intensity level, their feet are going on. If they, now it's like playing drums and having your legs crossed. I mean, you can't do it. But she does it. She's got that inner clock. Her internal rhythm machine is. She can do anything. It's all here in her voice, and she's funky. She's funky.
That sounds fun, man.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I have to wait a minute. I'm making a note to myself.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just tell you about this and then you can look for it in the mail. But so I'm coming out with a new record in August 30th.
Oh, great.
And it's Social Anthems Volume 2. So, some kickback songs with new jazz arrangements.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm calling it jazz. I mean, it's jazz players and I'm a jazz singer, but, the material it's kind of alternative, but it's alternative jazz, or I don't know what it is, you know what I mean? Anyway, but it's good. It's really good. Good playing, really nice producing and mixing. Anyway, one of the songs that I did on it, which during the pandemic I actually released because I had recorded the initial record a long time ago, was Inner City Blues, Marvin Gaye's song.
Oh man, whoa, beautiful.
It was really nice, good groove, great playing. Steve, do you know Steve Haas, the drummer?
Yes.
He was the drummer. It was just good,
Yeah.
And then, so this year I finished up the record and cleaned it up and whatnot. And one of the engineers asked me if I would mind if he took it and did a remix, that song. No, not at all. Then he played it for me and I was blown away. It was like, it's kind of a dance tune, but it's a jazz. It's, my phrasing is jazz. And so it's very unusual,
Yeah.
I sent it to this guy in the UK, for him to send it out. And
Yeah,
first thing he wrote me back was he said, "Wow, I've never heard anything like this before." And
wow.
I'm sure that's why, because the phrasing, it's not like R&B
Yeah,
phrasing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I'll have to send it to you because
I would love to hear it.
I'm
Love to
I'm
hear it,
I'm
Cathy.
thinking of, putting it out before the release date, and I have to figure all that stuff out. There's
Yeah,
so much to think about, and
yeah, yeah.
I'm not stressing, but I just want to do what works.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And I
Congratulations on it.
thank you.
I can just hear you doing Inner City Blues. I think that's going to be fabulous. I know it came out great, I bet.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I
Can
made a
you
new video.
can you play any of that for me on the show now, just so I can get
Sure.
an idea?
Sure. I'll even play a little bit of the video
Great, yeah.
because I just finished that actually last night. And let's see, did I put it here? Yes, I did. Here we go. Now this is the remix, so it has this dance thing. I
Oh, I
have
see.
the older one. Would you rather hear the older one?
It's up to you, Cathy. Whatever one I think I would like to hear. What?
Well, I think you probably like the original one more than this remix,
Okay.
but this is like a dance thing.
Uh-huh.
So let's see. If I go to music, where is my music? Music, CDs, Social Anthems Volume 2. So yeah, I think you probably would like the regular one more than the dance one. I don't know, maybe you would like the dance one too though, but this is
Yeah.
nice groove.
Nice groove. Yeah.
And I like long intros.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Just feels better, long
Yeah,
intros. It's about the music, not about me.
Uh,
Rockets, moonshots, spend it on the hair. Money, we make it, or we see it. You take it, oh, it makes you wanna holler. The way they do my life, make me wanna holler. The way they do my life. It's cool, right? But
Yeah.
anyway, just as a difference, I will show you a little bit of the video.
Okay.
Same, it's the same tempo. Same, he used Steve Haas in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dance, right? Let's do the dance thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rockets, moonshots, spend it on the hair. Money, we make it, or we see it. You take it, oh, it makes you wanna holler.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The way they do my mind, make me wanna holler. The way they do my life. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
you get the idea.
Yeah. Beautiful, Cathy.
Pretty
Congratulations
fun,
on
huh?
that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's great. You
Yeah.
sound fabulous in both,
Thanks.
both mixes.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm getting a kick out of it. And we could talk about this too, because you do so much. I mean, I have a feeling your attitude and stuff is the same as mine, but it's hard to it's hard not to get sucked into a little anxiousness about certain things that are going on. Like you're doing, for instance, you're doing the cruise and you need the people this week. So
Yeah.
it's a little hard to not get sucked into anxiousness over that. But of course, we know that that's not going to help anything, right?
No.
It's just like giving it up to the universe and just putting it
Yeah.
out that it's going to happen and doing the steps, but just letting it go too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just have to go straight ahead, but at the same time, realize that not every one of your gigs are going to be what you expect it to be, and you just learn from it and try harder the next time. You
Yeah.
just use it as another stepping, point. But I think, it's already proven that it's it's a viable thing. And now it's just one of those years,
Yeah.
where we need to put a little extra push on it because there's a deadline. That's it.
Yeah. So your attitude is just move
Yeah.
ahead, just do it, just go follow the steps and
Yeah, yeah. And the
gonna
other,
happen.
the other thing, Kathy, like we talked about when we first started the show, is that when you keep a bunch of things going, if one has to be rescheduled, that's okay, I mean, because you have other things.
Yeah.
But you can't be brought down by that, because otherwise it'll affect the other things that have got such positive motion going,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I wonder if that term straight ahead kind of was born from, the music just moving forward, and
Uh-huh.
just not being hung up, with
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
was played.
yeah,
That would be interesting, right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Straight
yeah,
ahead.
yeah,
Um,
straight ahead.
Okay, so this is one of those moments. I have to play some music so I can actually go to the ladies' room.
Okay, okay.
So how about if we play something from you? And is that here? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to play some Les DeMerle, and you won't mind if I go away and come back.
No,
So-
not at all. No.
So again, the cool thing about, oh, look at you, Chicago Drum Show.
Oh man, yeah.
Were you singing there?
No, I'm explaining a rhythm I'm going to play.
Oh.
That was a what do you like? Kathy, that the jazz and dance party cruise video might be appropriate here.
Right here?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long that is. Does it
It's
say how
about-
long?
I think it's 3 minutes or so.
Okay, yeah, that would be good. Yeah,
Okay.
and then I could explain what's when we back.
Yeah, cool.
This was recorded. Hi everyone, Les DeMerle here, jazz drummer, big band leader, formerly with Lionel Hampton, the Harry James Orchestra, where I toured with Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, and also more recently I'm the artistic director of the Amelia Island Jazz Festival, where I'm proud to say my 8-piece little big band has recently performed with David Sanborn, Mindy A. Bear, Spyro Gyra, David Benoit, Delphio Marsalis, and so many more. I'm here today to tell you about the exciting Jazz Cruise. This is our second annual Les DeMerle Dance and Jazz Party Cruise. The Les DeMerle Little Big Band is featured with vocalist Bonnie Eisel, Marvin Farabee on trumpet, who's formerly with the Four Tops and the Temptations. We also have Dr. Bill Prince, multi-instrumentalist, formerly with Buddy Rich, Bill Hazlett on trombone, Ajax McDonald on tenor saxophone, and the wonderful Miami rhythm section of Mike Levine on piano and Nicky Orta on bass. We are going to be cruising with a charter cruise, and this is the newest jazz cruise out there, by the way, from Fort Lauderdale, November 10th to the 17th. We're on the beautiful New Amsterdam, Holland America's beautiful ship. So if you would like to join us on the high seas, the ports are going to be fabulous. Fort Lauderdale, we leave on the 10th to the Nassau, Bahamas. Then we go to St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, San Juan, Puerto Rico, Grand Turks, Turks and Caicos, back to Fort Lauderdale. We will also be performing on 2 of the sea days. On the sea days, beside those great sunny days at the pool, in the afternoon, if you like, you can come on down to the theater and hear my full presentation about my life in music, which features video of my playing with the Harry James Orchestra, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Joel Williams, the great singer from Count Basie, Mel Torme, and many, many more. This cruise is the real jazz cruise, and we hope that you guys will all consider joining us. You get up and close and personal with all the musicians. You'll dine with them if you like. You can have drinks with all the guys after the gig, and most of all, you'll be there dancing and having a ball to the right tempos. The ballroom dancers, all you guys come on out there with us too, and groove to a really rich repertoire that represents the true legacy of jazz. So Les DeMerle here telling you I'm so excited, and I'm hoping that many of you will join us November 10th to November 17th on our cruise that is produced by Tom Pacina of Ahoy Cruises. His contact information is in the video. We hope we'll see you out there on the high seas November 10th to the 17th, and we will be swinging in the key of C. Have a good one, everybody. See you on the ship.
The dynamic Les DeMerle on the drum set, ladies and gentlemen.
I like that, the key is C. Hi, Sandy Cummings. Oh boy. Okay, so Taylor wants to know, what are some things you think young drummers should consider when working on their sound and process?
On their sound, my first comment would be their blend, their sound. Making sure the drums are tuned right for whatever kind of music they're playing. That's really important, Cathy. When I do drum clinics, we talk about the heads. For instance, just let's take Jeff Hamilton, for instance, great drummer, mutual friend, I'm sure. And he uses fiber skin heads that are similar to the old calf skin heads because he's such a brush master of brushes.
Yeah.
And so, his sound is that sound. I use a combination of certain different heads depending on what kind of thing I'm doing, but the sound is very, very important to just know that. A lot of drummers tune to the piano, like intervals or thirds or fourths, their kits are actually tuned. So, but whatever their style of music is that they're going for, make sure they have a blend of what they're on the kit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jeff Hamilton's birthday was yesterday, Taylor says.
Yeah, I know. I wished him a happy birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about Japan. You guys would like to go to Japan because this latest record, I'm sure there's other reasons, but this latest record was just released in Japan as well.
Absolutely. They put it out on vinyl too, Cathy.
Nice.
And so that, and it's a label over there called P Vine Records. They're in Tokyo. And we have never been. It's one of the few places that I haven't been. You have been so many times. And, so yes, we would love to go to Japan and try to, open up some doors there.
You'd get a real kick out of it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there would be a bunch of people who would get a kick out of you.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I'm sure of that. They would love it. And Bonnie too. Yeah. When did the record and CD already come out over there?
Yes, it came out there about maybe I think it was September, just
Okay.
recently, September. Yeah.
You mean last September?
Well, they put it out on vinyl. See, the original record, Kathy, came out on Origin
Yeah,
as a CD,
yeah,
and
yeah.
because I had also an agreement with P-Vine because they have a lot of the transfusion music.
Oh,
Matter of fact, they have every one of the transfusion albums we did in the 70s, and they
oh,
put them out over there on CDs and vinyl, you know.
oh,
It's kind of weird because these were first done on vinyl, and
yeah.
now they put them out on CDs there, and then some of them were transformed over to vinyl. But with John Bishop, who you know from Origin Records, when I did Sound 67, and he said, "Yeah, we have to put this out." Then I asked if we could submit it to Japan, and they put it out. John put it out over a year ago. It came out, but the vinyl of it in Japan only came out this past September. I mean,
Uh,
excuse me, this last September. I meant to say last
right,
September.
because I thought you were like living in the future for a
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was turned around. I was turned around. Yeah, yeah,
minute.
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. It's
yeah.
great that you have a record company there. I love that. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they do a lot with reissues too.
yeah.
So and with the transfusion music, Kathy, a lot of those drum parts that I played have been sampled. You know,
Ah,
I don't get a penny of this, but it was a million seller for a rapper called OC. He put out my introduction to A Day in the Life by the Beatles, and I play like a funky thing, and they took that 4 bars and they used the bass line too, which is really weird. But they were able to get away with that, but they don't touch the melody, so so we don't have that much room to go further with suing and all that.
that's just such a creepy thing, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
especially if it makes a lot of money. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly, Kathy.
wouldn't
Yeah,
you think like, okay, I'm gonna pay back, pay it
yeah,
back a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really tacky. But
yeah,
so let's just talk about transfusion too, because maybe not everybody knows about that band. That was
yeah.
like the cutting edge band in in music history, actually.
Thank
It
you,
really
Kathy.
was, right?
Thank you.
It
Yeah, yeah,
was. It
yeah,
was at the right time, and there was
yeah,
nobody else doing it,
yeah,
uh, and it was a hot band, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so cool, Kathy, that you were in the picture then,
Yeah,
because when you were really there, as you were at the Cellar Theater,
yeah,
and then when you look at the legacy of the sideman that I had with me, Dave Benoit, way before he made a record as a leader,
yeah,
was one of the piano players. Milch Oliviev, of course, from Don Ellis's band,
yeah,
went on to play with Billy Cobham
yeah.
and many, many others. Piano. I had Eric Marienthal at one point on saxophones, right out of one of the colleges. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
university he was at, but
yeah, he was a baby.
he was a baby, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was recommended, I remember, by a trumpet player named Ron Stout. You might know him from
Oh,
many of the big bands out
oh
there
yeah,
in LA.
yeah, yeah, Ron
And
Stout.
I had Sam Riney and Bunk Gardner at various times from the Mothers of Invention.
Huh.
Rex and Robbie Robinson,
Oh,
he's still out there with Frankie Valli as Frankie Valli's musical director now.
oh, I didn't know that because I
Yeah.
have a friend who plays bass with them.
What's his name?
His name is Alfredo Lopez.
Okay. Uh-huh. I'll be
Yeah.
talking to Robbie later today, so I'll ask him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
a sweetheart and a very good player. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Robbie, like Tony, I mean, excuse me, Frankie Valli, like
Yeah.
Tony Bennett. I mean, Tony Bennett did that Lady Gaga concert at 95 years old, and Lee Musiker, Kathy, the piano player with him that night,
Yep.
was also
Yep.
one of my sidemen in New York. He worked on a lot
Oh.
of my New York bands, you know, and he told me that at the rehearsals, Tony couldn't remember anything, but when he minute he played a verse to a chord, I mean a chord to a verse, like a Gershwin, a really long Gershwin, Tony, everything would click. And he'd had, you know, on that performance, he nailed it. Well, Frankie Valli is he's 90 years old. They're doing 3 one-nighters they just finished last night. And you know, he
Thousands
goes
of
out,
people.
he's still going out, yeah, for thousands of people. Yeah.
I know. When Alfredo told me that, I was like, really? That's amazing. I guess when what was it, The Sopranos or a TV show came out?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, The Sopranos.
yeah, that and Frankie Valli's popularity kind of got stirred up again.
Yeah, I
or-
guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I mean, all the power to him, you know.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
You know, by the way, if you haven't seen this, you have to check out a video of Tony Bennett and Aretha Franklin
Wow.
singing "How Do you make the music? How
Play.
do you keep the
Keep
music
the
playing?"
music playing. Yeah.
It is. I weep through it. It's so. It's old. They're older, you know.
Yeah.
Like the king and the queen. You know, it's just
Yeah.
and the gorgeous arrangement. I mean,
Yeah.
it's incredible. You have to check that out.
Oh.
Bonnie will love it too.
Okay, yes, I will. Definitely, Kathy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Uh-oh, Roland is looking at Transfusion DR 1020 on Dobre Records, looking at the vinyl right now. So does that mean you have the vinyl, Roland? He probably, because he was around at
Was
that
that
time.
Roland Vasquez?
No.
Oh.
Roland Oscaruns
Oh,
Who-
okay.
was a guitar player, but he, as he says, he started stalking me at the $2 bills.
Oh, really? Man, I love that club, Kathy. We both played that many times, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently he has that record,
Uh-huh. Great.
that Transfusion record
The
on
original
Dobre
record.
Records. Dobre,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Dobre. Yeah.
That is wild, huh?
Let me grab my copy right behind me because it just came out in Japan. I'll put it up in the
Oh,
screen.
cool. Isn't that wild, Roland? Taylor, I'm looking at your other questions.
Yeah. This just came out, Kathy, in Japan. Let me see if I can put it up there.
Yeah. There it is. Wow, that looks good.
And that's let's see if I can get that right.
If you pull it back towards you a little, we'll see more of it. There we go. Yeah.
See,
Wow, look at that.
see, it's got the Japanese writing there.
Yep, it does.
Yeah.
Uh,
They just put
was
it
that
out.
the one? Was that in 1970 or was it? Roland said he bought it as soon as he saw it.
Wow. Well, it came out, I think, in around 75, I'm going to say 76. And then like they have reissued it. So if he's got the one of the originals, that's wild. Did he find it in a record store or I wonder?
Ed, he bought it as soon as he saw it. Was this back in the 70s, Roland? Or more recently? We'll see what he says. He's one of those hidden guitar players, man. He
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
played in years, but he has like 12 guitars.
Uh-huh. Well, you know, another thing, Kathy, on that record, we had Emmett Chapman on that record playing the electric stick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that was the first time he had ever played with a band before, you know.
Oh my
So
God.
Emmett's on 2 tracks on that, you know. If you want, you could probably pull up one of those tracks, maybe.
Okay. By the way, Roland, he says, back in 1970, who remembers the store?
Come on, Roland, you're slipping. You're slipping, Roland. Only 1970, man. Come on.
Okay, let's see. So what are we looking for again?
Well, I was just going to say, with a transfusion, if you want to just play a track that would be representative of that, there's a really cool track called that I wrote called "Funk It If You Can't Take a Joke," and it features Emmett Chapman on the electric stick,
Oh, cool.
and it also features Nolan Smith, who later changed his name, Shahid. I don't know.
Nolan Shahid.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he's a good friend of mine.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I'm just going to tell people listening on YouTube, they might cut this music out, but then we'll be back on speaking. But anyway, let us look and listen.
And that's Emma Chapman on that electric stick solo. Yeah. That's the first time he ever recorded with the band, Kathy. With the band,
Wow.
he's done
Yeah.
things with duos and a
Yeah.
drummer, but
Yeah.
not a full band. But we were doing those duets together, he and I said, man, I want to have you on the record. So he played on 2 or 3 tracks, and it was a trip. It was really a trip, and the energy is captured there.
Yeah, 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 that's great. I love the band. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's like right out of the old days, right? I
yeah,
mean,
right, yeah.
hey, let's do that. That's really fun, man. Wow. I love that. So
Thank you.
that's what the whole record is like, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of odd times stuff on there. There's some really good funky stuff. There's a singer also, Kathy, that I was using at the time named Onike. I don't know if you ever met her.
No.
African American singer. She was in LA for a while. And I think Raul de Sousa, who's also on that record. Raul is on that record as a guest with us on a few tracks. And she's on a tune on that record called Bacchanal, and she sings, like, she doesn't sing words, she's singing parts of the horn section, and then she scats, and I have a long drum solo in it. So there is a vocalist on that one track on that.
Yeah. Hey, Roland wants to know, did you graduate from Newtown High School in 1964?
Yep, I did. Yep.
That's
Mhm.
when he graduated from that.
Is that right? No kidding. And where does he live now, Kathy?
He lives in LA.
I see. Yeah, I went to Newtown High School, and that was right, 1964. Yeah, yeah.
Roland, did you know him? Were you playing guitar then or not? Isn't that funny?
We actually started a jazz band at that school with saxophone player Turk Morrow. He's a crazy guy. He just passed away a few years ago, one of my closest friends. But he was in the school, and a senior also. And a trumpet player that went on to play with Maynard Ferguson, his name was Nat Pavone. And the 3 of us were the jazz guys in the school. So we started a jazz band. They had no jazz band. We just made one up, and we were the jazz band.
That's funny. I can't believe, Roland, that you went to school with him. That's hysterical.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Hi,
that's
Roland.
wild. Wild, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, let's see. Well, of course I knew him. He would always come to school very tired from having played the night before.
That's me. That's me. That's me. That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Roland should get on our emailing list, Kathy. So or no.
Okay, Roland, did you hear that? I'm gonna give you your email is
ldmm@bellsouth.net.
at Bell what?
South, SOUTH, bellsouth.net.
Dot.
LDMM, like my initials, at bellsouth.net.
Okay, there you go, Roland. Oh, Roland played trombone in the school band.
Really? Uh-huh.
You played trombone, Roland? I didn't know that. Wow, I'm impressed now. Because trombone, it's a
Yeah.
hard instrument, man, right? Oh gosh. Oh man. So let's see. Taylor Taylor wants to know, do you have any thoughts on the future of jazz education and where it's going?
Boy, that's a tough one, especially with the arts being cut like crazy in all the schools.
Yeah.
I think where it's got to go is it's got to come from the musicians that have it in their heart to pass it on.
Yeah.
Like you do, Kathy. And all the people that I know, unless they're hooked up with the biggest universities, they create their own ways of teaching. And I think that's going to be more in the future. It's kind of like the independent artist. you know, that started what, 20 years ago or so, doing your own records.
Yeah.
You know, before that, we figured if you had to make a record, you had to be with a record company, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not like that now. So I think it's the same way with teaching, you know. And so I'm hoping that more people, when they have time, teach the next generation, because that's the only way it's going to survive, you know. But actually, the jazz programs, as you know, Cathy, in the schools, in the colleges, most of them are really incredible. They've so far than what it was years ago, you know.
I mean, Florida is a good example. The
Yeah,
Frost School,
yeah, yeah,
damn
yeah.
man, they have incredible teachers. John Diversa is
Right.
like, and the singing teachers I mean, just everything. Boy, there's a pianist whose name I don't remember that Diversa uses. He's brought him out here, younger guy. He is an amazing piano player. And John is, he's a very
Yeah,
forward thinking player,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I've heard them as a duo even, really incredible. Okay, Taylor, don't forget North Texas in terms of jazz education mecca. You're
Oh,
absolutely
sure, yeah. Well, all the main, you know, Berkeley, Juilliard,
correct.
Eastman, you know, North Texas for sure. Um, you know, I mean, those are institutions that I mean,
Yeah,
the credits and the amount of artists that have come out of those schools, just unbelievable, you know.
yeah, yeah,
But there's a ton of smaller schools that have big, heavy, you know, heavy
yeah.
faculty,
And
and then out of that, those students will probably go on, I would think, and teach, you know.
that's
Because
true. Clay Jenkins actually
yeah,
teaches in a smaller school and like it's
I think he's in,
outside
is he in Rochester, close to Rochester?
of Rochester. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
You
of
know,
course, Rochester was always
Clay
kind
was
of.
actually, when he was a kid, Kathy, Clay played on Harry James's band
Oh,
with
really?
me. Yeah, he was only on it for a short time, but I think it was his first road gig ever. And I had the cellar theater going at the time. So all the younger guys like him, I would always invite to come, you know.
Yeah.
He had just had a baby at the time. He was so
Oh,
young, you know, so he couldn't just run out anytime. But Ralph Rickard was my trumpet player at that time. You
Ralph
remember Ralph?
Rickard.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Is he still with us? I
No, I'm not sure. I feel like he's
know.
not, but
hmm
I don't really know, you know.
hmm
A lot of people have been going.
Another one was Oscar Brashear, who
Oh,
was on the very first one of the first transfusion bands. Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
I guess that must have been how I knew of him first then,
hmm
because even
hmm
he's such an amazing player. You
Yeah,
don't hear a lot about him, but
yeah.
uh, and I think he left LA a while back, but wow, he's an elegant player, isn't he?
Elegant. Yeah, yeah. And such a beautiful man too. You know, he just was so supportive of what I was trying to do at the time, helped me with contracting some of the gigs. We were playing Shelley's Manhole in the early days when transfusion, you remember the name Joe Raccasano, saxophone player?
I dated him.
You dated him. I didn't know that, Kathy. Yeah.
Yeah, a long
What
time ago.
was that in that same period of time, like in the 70s or?
Yes. Yes, it was. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mid 70s, mid to later 70s.
Wow.
I got
Well,
married in 79, so it was before that.
uh-huh. Well, it was probably that when you and I met, it was probably after that because when Joe and I connected, we had Monday nights at the Shelley's Manhole on Cahuenga, you know,
Yeah.
the old Shelley's.
I think that
And
was I think that was actually before I got to town. I don't think Shelley's was open when I got to town in 75 or 6.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. It possibly could, but that's when he and I were kind of a partnership with
Oh,
Transfusion.
yeah.
We were actually co-leaders in the very first one, and then
Oh,
and he would write the arrangements, and
Yeah.
I would, get the gigs and have the players,
Yeah.
and we kind of put our minds together, but he wanted to keep it a full big band, more like a big band, and I had just done that with Spectrum, so I wanted to make it more like a fusion band, and so he and I went our separate ways, although he still wrote arrangements for me,
Yeah.
and then the Transfusion you heard was the second incarnation of it, where I had four horns, and that's what all those recordings are of that band.
Wow, that's cool. Joe Rocasano, he was a really good player.
Yeah, and a
Yeah.
great writer too.
Yeah, and a really nice person.
Yes, he
Super
was.
nice.
Yes,
And
yeah.
he used to live in the above the garages in what's his name estate, the sax player, he big guy but played an alto, and played with Steely Dan, and oh God, you knew him. He was tall, and he moved to Oregon with his wife, who's also a trombone player. What is his name? Oh God, I'll think of it. Anyway, but yeah. So Joe lived because he had divorced, I guess, his wife, and he lived in, above the stables kind of thing,
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Uh,
he was a lovely guy. Yeah.
oh yeah. He also moved back to New York, Kathy, and he's not with us anymore,
No, he died a
And
long time ago.
and I played with him in '91 because I did a tribute to Louis Bellson at the World Trade Center. Bonnie and I played here in Amelia Island the night before at the Ritz-Carlton. We flew to New York. I rehearsed with Louis' band, and
Yeah.
then we played a tribute to him that night. And a bunch of other drummers were on it, including Steve Gadd. And so Steve Gadd, me, Butch Miles, Charlie Persip, we were all there to honor Louis, and
Aw.
there he was sitting in the saxophone section, Joe Rocasano, you know. So that was
Wow.
a trip,
That
yeah.
must have been
So
a good hang,
it
right?
was a great
Oh
reunion.
gosh.
Yeah, great
Oh
reunion.
wow.
Joe also wrote a fabulous arrangement for me on my Les DeMerle on Fire record, which was
Oh,
produced by Herb Wong, and he wrote an incredible arrangement on All Blues,
oh,
Miles's tune, but
yeah.
a very very different way than you would normally hear it. So I don't know if you want to pull that one up, but that's
Sure.
since we're talking about Joe Rocasano, if you can find that, Kathy, that's on a record called Les DeMerle on Fire. It originally came out on Palo Alto Records. And when Herb Wong asked me if I would like to record for the label, he said there's a new singer on on this label that did her first record. I think she's going to go someplace. I said, "What's her name?" He said, "Diane Reeves." That was her first label, was Palo Alto. So the original five albums that first came out were Diane Reeves, Les DeMerle. There was a Pepper Adams album, baritone saxophone player. I think maybe Harold Danko had a record, and they put out a big band album from the Bay Area called Full Faith and Credit Big Band.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and that was it, with only 5 records that first came out. And Diane Reeves.
Whose band was Full Faith and Credit?
That was actually a piano player named Smith Dobson.
That's why I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's on
Yeah.
on one of our records too that we did
He
a
was
tribute to
great.
Cole Porter. Smith was a wonderful player.
He was
Another
great.
really from the heart man. Just
You
great,
know, I
great.
don't know if you knew his wife, but last week she died
I
suddenly.
did not know that. I knew his daughter Sasha.
Wonderful singer too,
Yeah,
and his
yeah,
son, who's a
yep.
great player as well.
Right. Yeah.
Thompson Jr.
I'm sorry to hear of his wife's passing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was a cool person, really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, she just didn't feel well. My friend thinks she got COVID, but I don't, she just didn't feel well. Everything
Uh-huh.
worked
Uh-huh.
fine. Anyway, I found All Blues. And by the way, the horn player that I'm trying to think of, he was a
Yeah.
big guy, and but he talked like this. Hey, how you doing? You don't know who I'm talking about, do you?
Now it sounds like Mickey Mouse, but I'm not sure.
Oh man, he's famous. I'm gonna have to go look, for
Was it let me think. When you said big, for some reason I was thinking of huge guys like Cannibal Adderley,
No,
like
no, he
that.
was skinny. He was white. He probably played on the Tonight Show band. He played in the studios a lot.
Oh, was it Pete Chrisley?
Yes.
Pete, really?
Yeah, so Pete had this like an estate
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Northridge or somewhere,
yeah.
and so Joe lived above the old stables, which were now his
Yeah,
garage, which
yeah,
Pete,
yeah,
of course, was into cars, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Pete Chrisley. Wow.
I remember hanging out with Joe and Pete, man.
Oh man.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
right. There's a great, speaking of those guys, Kathy, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a wonderful documentary on Doc Severinsen.
Yes.
Did you see it? It's
Yeah.
not, it just came out. It's on American Masters, and
Yes.
it's got all the old great clips of the Tonight Show band, and Pete is in many of those. So is Ernie Watts. Ernie Watts was
Yep.
on that band. Of
Yep.
course, Connie Condoli, Snooky Young, Shaughnessy,
Joel DeBartolo, I think, played, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Doc, that this documentary shows he's in his 90s too, and
Yeah.
he shows his breathing exercises and him doing push-ups every day, and he's just an amazing, amazing inspiration.
I still know his daughter,
Oh,
Nancy.
do you? Did you?
Yeah, she's been in music supervision for years,
Uh-huh.
years and years. And she was married to the tenor player, really great tenor player in the band. Oh, yeah, whose name I can't remember. Been too long.
Was
She
it
was
Dick
married
Spencer?
Dick Spencer. Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
Dick Spencer?
Yes, it was.
Oh my God. Actually, Dick is known no more as an alto player, but
Oh, really?
he could have played tenor in that band. Yeah, he was
Oh,
another guy, Kathy, that goes way back to my early days, like Sound 67. Dick played,
oh,
he's not on that record. There's
yeah.
Lenny Morgan is on that record. And another alto player named Alan Govan. Who later went with Buddy Rich, but Dick Spencer was with me, and one my early gigs in New York as a leader, I would hire him. And then one time he couldn't make the gig and he sent in a sub. Lee Konitz walked in.
Oh, jeez.
That's what it was like in New York in those days. All those guys, if you had a gig and you had a great player with you, there was no telling who they would show up to play your gig. The same thing happened to me with Joe Farrell. He showed up one time as a sub. Crazy.
Oh
On my
man,
gig.
he
I was
was a
like
great player too,
16
Joe
and 17
Farrell.
years old.
Oh my God. Incredible. Okay, well, here I have all blues. So this is by the way, you're 0.000003% richer. You just bought Les DeMerle on Fire from iTunes.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Kathy, can I say one thing before you play this?
Oh,
I just wanted to tell everybody, the personnel, this was an incredible band that was kind of an offshoot in a way of Transfusion, actually. After all the Transfusion records, right before I went back to New York, Herb Wong asked me to do a more straight ahead version of what I do. So this is an acoustic record, and Don Menza is playing saxophone.
oh,
Bobby Shue is playing trumpet.
oh, wow.
Lanny Morgan is playing alto saxophone. Jack Wilson is playing piano, and Bob Magnuson is playing bass.
Oh my God.
So that's the lineup on this record, but the arrangement is by Joe Roccasano.
Wow, what a band.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward. Yeah. Whoops, sorry. Nice, great arrangement. Wow, how fun.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Great.
Yeah. Joe Racasano, Kathy, was really something else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he brought that one in, boy, I said, oh my God, this is a gem. And we played that also. It was very of a real fun arrangement to perform live too, you know, because it's got so many different dynamics and got to get the key change. Everybody gets a chance to solo a little bit, and
Yeah.
yet the ensemble always frames
Yeah.
the work, you know, the solos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really nice. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank you.
arrangement. Yeah. So I'm curious, who are a few of your favorite bass players to work with?
Oh my God. I have so many that I really love playing with. I've been really blessed since we've been in North Florida here. I've had Dennis Marks with me for many, many years. He teaches at the University of North Florida.
Yeah.
And he also leads one of the ensembles, the Jazz Ensemble 2. But you know, he's played 25 years with Arturo Sandoval. He's got his roots in Miami,
Yeah.
and he's an incredible hard swinging player out of the Ray Brown school, so to speak, and yet he's as modern as any player playing today, and he plays great electric. So he's definitely one that's really high on my list. I love playing with Bob Magnuson, the gentleman that, you know, he was in the LA days. I had him on a bunch of gigs and was able to get him on that record. I also got him on Richie Cole's record, Kathy, when we did a record for Muse Records called Hollywood Madness that
Uh-huh.
featured Richie Cole, Eddie Jefferson. I'm on it. It was actually Richie's working band. It was called the Alto Madness, Richie Cole and Alto Madness. So it was Smith Dobson on piano, but and then actually on Richie's his regular band. Let me back up. Was Bruce Foreman on guitar, and Smith Dobson. This is the San Francisco guys. Bill Mays on. There was not the piano player. There's another Mays piano bass player up there.
Oh yeah, Bill. Right.
Yeah, and then when we did Richie's album, he actually used another bass player named oh man. I have the record here. Marshall Hawkins.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Marshall Hawkins. He was out there with Eddie Jefferson. But on one of the tracks that was super fast,
Yeah.
Marshall just it was way late at night and we had to do another take on it. So it was a Hooray for Hollywood. It's the opening tune. But da 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 da. But da 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 da. There's a bebop thing on it. But it's so super fast. And Richie waited till like 4 a.m. to record it. So we had to come back the next day and Marshall wasn't available. So I got Bob Magnuson on the date. I told so so I'm on 2 records with Bob, so he's definitely one of my favorites. I love playing with John B. Williams out there in LA during those days, and of course Rex Robinson, who was with us with the Transfusion band. I have so many, but those are just a few.
Yeah.
Ron McClure is another one in New York. He used to play with Charles Lloyd's band. He's on the Forest Flower record. Ron McClure is one of my favorite bass players. Yeah. Those are, and these guys are all real close friends, so you have that connection, Yeah.
Right. Okay, Taylor wants to know what's one of the funniest moments that ever happened to you on a gig?
Oh man. I'm writing a book, Taylor. You have to read those, But there are so many. Man, I don't know. That's a hard one to say. I'll tell you one quick story that comes to mind. This is when I was on the gig with Wayne Newton. There was a jazz violinist named Alec Bassick, and I booked him while we were playing at Westbury Music Fair. I booked a jazz gig, which is something I've always done. Whenever I'm in town playing a regular gig, I always find a joint to play a jazz gig, So I booked Alex at this jazz gig with me, and it was called Sonny's Place out in Seaford, Long Island. And after we played our set, it was very late at night. All sorts of stuff started happening. The drinking and other things are going on. And for some reason, he took his violin because he didn't want to have it stolen, and he put it in the oven at a restaurant, thinking nobody's going to cook that night. The next day, he gets in the car with me to go to Philadelphia, where we had to play that same night with Wayne, and he says, "Where's my violin?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I didn't take your violin, man. I'm dealing with my cymbals and drumsticks." He said, "Oh my God, I left it in the oven at the Sonny's last night. I forgot to take it." So I called the restaurant just in time before they were going to light that stove to heat up some food. Otherwise, I don't know if it was a Stradivarius. So we show up to the gig for Wayne Newton, and there's no violin. He says, "Where's your instrument?" He says, "I know you were with DeMerle last night at a jazz club in New York. You don't have to say anything else. Rent one for tonight." So that's one of the many, many stories that just came.
Oh my God. That's really funny.
Crazy.
I can't believe you put it in the oven.
Yeah.
That's too funny, man.
Yeah.
Well, tell us one more time about the Dance and Jazz Party Cruise.
Okay, great, Cathy. Well, we're leaving, if everything goes well, November 10th to the 17th. And it's just a fabulous, it's for us too. It's like a wind down party after the jazz festival, because we do the jazz festival September 29th to October 6th. And man, after that intense 8 days, we're ready to get on a cruise ourselves, And it's work for us, of course, but the fun part, really the fun part, Cathy, is when you get out there. And then, you just you hear the music every night. You get to play with the same band every night. That's a rarity nowadays, to have to play it. Years ago, there were normal bookings. Like when I played Keystone Corner in San Francisco with Eddie Jefferson and Richie Cole, or any of the major clubs, they would always be a week-long gig, just
yeah,
like the Lighthouse or Concerts by the Sea or, those kind of clubs. But now most of the clubs only book you for a weekend or a weekday night. So the fact that I get out there with my band and I'm able to play 6 or 7 nights in a row, and it's only a few hours a night that we play. It's pretty easy, because we finish before it gets late at night, and then the room we perform in turns into a dance room or a jazz room at not late at night. And you have all of our guests get access to that too. But for
yeah,
our exclusive group, you get to hear us. So I would say I'm most excited about being able to play that many nights in a row,
yeah,
and have the band get tighter every night.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
you know what
really
that's about.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys can look for that on your site too, right? Les DeMerle?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got the Les DeMerle fan page on Facebook and the
Okay.
Les DeMerle page, and then we've got the Amelia Island Jazz Festival. Might have information on that. Uh, but yeah, just look us up, and the best way for people that are serious about it, Cathy, are to go with your show. Go right to Tom Pacina at
Yeah.
Tom at Ahoy Cruises. DFW DallasFortWorth.com, just like you
Yeah.
mentioned it,
I,
and the phone number.
yeah.
And we'd love
Yeah.
to see a bunch of people come out with us. And if musicians are watching and you come to the Amelia Island Jazz Festival, we also have late night jams. And this year, Cathy, is interesting. I call this festival this year the Year of the Ladies. You know, it's kind of wild too that Kamala Harris is coming on so strong, which is beautiful.
Right,
But
right.
but all of our headliners this year are female. We
Oh,
have, Grace Kelly, Marsha Ball, and our scholarship winners, an 18-year-old bass player and vocalist from Douglas Anderson School of the Arts. Her name is Ayanna Nelson, and she's going to be leading the jams. And of course, Bonnie will be featured on it, and there's some other
wow.
girls. But
Cool.
the headliners, I don't think this is our 21st year, and it's the first year I've ever had all headliners, including the scholarship winner, being female. So that's really cool.
Wow, that's cool. Hey, we didn't really talk about you singing.
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't hear anything. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty far out. For me, Cathy, I'm not a trained singer. I just started to do it on gigs as fun. Probably even in the cellar days, I might have sang a blues.
Yeah, yeah,
I do Compared to What. I've been doing that all my life. But I now, when we started to do the cruises, actually, these are long gigs. Sometimes they're 3 sets a night for
yeah,
like over an hour each set.
yeah,
So I started to put in a few more vocals for myself, and it worked with Bonnie. And then the fact that she's a great singer, we could do duets together, and that's a lot of fun. We do things
yeah,
singing together. But I have a lot of fun doing it now. Coordination wise, it's a trip because it's one thing to, be a pop drummer, like say Phil Collins, play eighth notes, but it's another thing to be playing, singing, and then be playing bebop with your left hand,
yeah,
interacting with what you're doing as a vocalist, just like I would as if I'm playing behind you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's challenging. I
Yeah.
was just looking for there's one thing that does come up on cooking at the corner. Are you
Yeah.
singing compared to what there?
Yeah, I am. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, we got to hear a little bit of that.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Oh, feels good now. Another night, night of love.
Yeah.
Another night of push and shove. Possession is the motivation that is hanging up the whole damn nation. Look like we're always gonna end up in a rut. Everybody now try to make it real compared to what? Get it, Michael, now. Saw the houses are killing hearts. Old young rednecks, they be rolling logs. Twisted little children are killing frogs. Tired old women kissing their dogs. I hate the union of the stinking mud. I can't stand it. Try to make it real compared to what? Get down. Where's my bee? Where's my honey? Where's my woman? Where's my money? Nobody gives me a rhyme or a reason to have one doubt. They call it treason. You really got to be some kind of a nut. One more time now. Try to make it real compared to what? Get one more time.
That was cool, man. Very cool. Well, it's been really fun talking to you. You know, it's so much fun to talk with somebody who remembers the same people I remember.
Yeah, yeah, Kathy. We
You
have
know?
we go back there, and it's so beautiful, like you said, to share. I just love talking with you, and we could go on for another 10 hours and still not, we still know so many people, so many of the same people from the LA days mostly, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I love you madly, you know that. I
Oh,
love you
I
madly,
love you
girl.
too, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and good luck with, grabbing a few more people for this dance and jazz party cruise. It looks great. Looks like it's
Thank
going to be a lot of fun, and also for your upcoming festival too. It's going to
Thank
be
you
great.
so much, Kathy. Thank you. And I
Yeah,
look forward to hearing your record. Your CD just came in as we were just about to start the show.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I thank you so much for having me back on the show. It's always so wonderful to just be with you and what you're doing. Congratulations. I mean, what is it? You're over 500. Was it
Yeah,
585?
this is 585.
585. Wow. Well, I'm honored.
Thank you. And next week, actually, going to do Judy Niemek.
Oh,
Yeah,
fabulous.
and that's also actually, uh, I've interviewed her before too, but it was a long time ago. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Judy Niemek, that's great. And by the way, Janice Siegel said to give you her best too,
Oh,
because
nice.
we had the Manhattan Transfer last year at our jazz festival, right after
Yeah,
they retired,
yeah,
was
yeah.
one of their last gigs. And so Alan Paul and Cheryl, it was unfortunately Tris could not make it. He got
Oh,
he got sick the night before. So they worked
oh,
as a trio, but
oh
they
my
still did a
God.
fabulous show. Yeah. They just
Wow.
they changed the repertoire around a little bit, but between Alan, Cheryl, and Janice, they did a fabulous show, and they packed 1,000-seat auditorium that we had here. We used a bigger venue for them,
Wow. God, that must have been great.
and they all send their best to you,
Oh, thank you.
and Bonnie too, of course.
Of course. And to me, and well, we said hi before, so
Yeah,
thank you so much, Les. It's been really fun, and have a great evening.
thank you, Kathy.
Everybody, see you later. Thanks for coming
Okay,
and listening.
see you guys.
Bye. Mwah.
Bye bye.